Ever since I was a little girl, I've always been surrounded by the Jewish culture and holidays because my dad's side is Jewish. My grandmother always wanted us to learn the history behind the Jewish culture because it was part of her culture and she wanted to teach us what they do for each holiday. So whenever we were around them during the holiday, we would learn the history behind the holiday and try and get to make some of the foods that were produced during that holiday. My grandmother introduced me to Passover brownies and told me the history behind them. Some of the history that I have learned ever since I was little is that Passover is an 8-day festival that is celebrated in the early spring, and it's also known as Pesach in Hebrew. It commemorates the emancipation of the Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt, and during Passover you do not eat any leavened foods. On the first 2 nights of Passover, the family gathers together for a religious feast known as Seder. During Seder, they have Seder plate at the center of the table that features shank bone, egg, maror, which is bitter herbs, charset, karpas, chazeret, salt water, and matzah. Shank bone commemorates the lamb sacrifice made the night of the ancient Hebrews fled Egypt. It symbolizes the outstretched arm of God. Egg stands in place of one of the sacrificial offerings, which was performed in the days of the Second Temple. The mara is a bitter herb, brings tears to the eyes, and recalls the bitterness of slavery. Charzet is a salad of apples, nuts, wine, and cinnamon that represents the mortar used by the Hebrew slaves to make bricks. Karpa symbolizes the freshness of spring. Chazaret is the same as charazet. Salt water is the tears and sweat of the enslavement. And matzah symbolizes the struggles of the Jews who were not yet free enough to celebrate Passover. Before Passover occurs, you have to get rid of any food or drink that contains any trace of wheat, barley, rye, oats, or spelt, which commemorates the leavening of the bread not rising due to them having to leave. Some examples of food that have been removed is breads, cakes, cereals, pasta, and most alcohols. During the night of Passover, the children have to ask the traditional 4 questions. Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we eat leavened products and matzah, and on this night, we only eat matzah. On all other nights, we eat all vegetables, and on this night, we only eat bitter herbs. On all other nights, we don't dip our food even once, and on this night, we dip it twice. On all other nights, we eat sitting or reclining, and on this night we only recline. The answers to the 4 questions are here. Matzah refers to affliction and our freedom. Whenever Moses and his followers fled Egypt, they didn't have enough time for the bread to rise. We have bitter herbs during Passover because this root reminds us of the time of our slavery. This reminds us that struggle is better than acceptance of injustice. The first time we dip, the salty taste reminds us of the tears that were cried when the slaves were leaving. And the second time is the salt water, and the greens helps us remember the ocean and green plants on earth. Reclining is a sign of freedom and prosperity because rich people used to eat while lying on the couch while their servants fed them. Some different varieties in this recipe is having different chocolates in there with dark chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate. And this topic is very interesting and very special to me because my grandmother has taught me this over the years, and getting to learn the history on why things are done a certain way is very special to me. And now I'm going to teach you how to make the brownies. I hope y'all enjoy.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn Kogod, and I am a baking and pastry and food service management major, and I'm going to teach y'all how to make Passover brownies. So the ingredients you're going to need is semi-sweet chocolate chips, eggs, vanilla, 1 cup of butter, chocolate that is unsweetened baker's chocolate, matzah cake meal, sugar, and then you're going to need spray for your pan. And then the utensils you're going to need is a bowl, a mixer, a bowl to microwave. You're going to need your measurings, and then you're also going to need a pan to put it in. Now I'm going to talk to you about the history of Passover. Passover in Hebrew is Pesach, which commemorates the exodus of the Jews in slavery in Egypt. The holiday originated in the Torah, where the word Pesach refers to the ancient sacrifice. Instead of the Jews eating regular bread, they eat matzah, which is a flat bread, and the reason that they do it is because the Hebrews when they fled Egypt, they did not have enough time to let the bread rise, and it was easier to carry through the desert.
Passover is an 8-day festival that is celebrated to commemorate the emancipation of the Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt. During Passover, you do not eat any leavened foods because the Hebrews fled Egypt in such a haste and there was no time for the bread to rise. One of the foods that's eaten is matzah, which symbolizes the struggles of Jews who were not free enough to celebrate Passover. This is why matzah is used as a substitution for flour during Passover.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to preheat your oven to 300, and then you are going to spray your pan and make sure that it's all the way around. And then after that, you are going to melt your chocolate and butter, which is 6 ounces of unsweetened baker's chocolate and a cup of butter in the microwave. Next, you're going to add 4 eggs into a bowl, and you are going to go on medium speed with your blender for 5 minutes. Next, you're going to add sugar to your egg mixture for 2 cups, and you're going to blend it on low until combined. Next, you're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla and your chocolate mixture that you melted in the microwave. And you're going to blend it until combined. Next, you're going to add half a cup of the matzah cake meal into your batter. And then you're going to mix it until blended. Next, you're going to add your batter into your buttered pan. And then you're going to sprinkle a cup of chocolate chips. And put it in the oven for 45 to 50 minutes, and then you will refrigerate after it is done baking. Once you've taken it out of the oven, you need to put it in the refrigerator to cool down and enjoy.
When comparing a brownie to the Passover brownies, you want to think about the different components that go with each. With regular brownies, you have flour, and with Passover brownies, you have matzah cake meal to replace the flour. And replacing the flour is in the history of Passover and what Jews did back in the day when it came to leavening and rising of ingredients. When it comes to comparing desserts with brownie and Passover brownies, you want to think about the tasting components and how the texture is. When I tasted Passover brownies, you get that chocolate, smooth, fudgy taste and texture, and you also can get the brownie aspect in a different way with different ingredients. I love getting the opportunity to learn the history behind Passover and also just the Jewish culture with my grandmother. I've always been raised around the aspect of how they celebrate certain occasions and certain traditions, and it's really cool getting the opportunity to let y'all get to see how Passover brownies are made and the history behind it. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you.